Thank you.
Speaking on behalf of Pivotal.
All right. Hi. So I'm Bridget Krumhout, and I am here to talk to you about Pivotal today. If you were at the keynotes this morning, you may have seen that we have some exciting new stuff with VMware, this whole Photon thing. Very exciting. That's not what I'm going to talk about, but I want to talk to you today about our cloud-native runtime platform. And this is the kind of stuff that Pivotal and VMware and EMC in general are bringing you that can basically enable your IT to be more effective, right? Okay. So first of all, so who here actually believes in cloud? All right, cloud is a lie, right? I mean, cloud is someone else's computers, but the cloud solutions that we've been looking for, I feel like people focus too much on and it's in the cloud, and they don't focus on how are we enabling IT solutions to be more effective and faster and both more cost effective and also just more generally, usable. So we're improving the way computing is done, not just whether it's in your private cloud or your public cloud or your hosted solutions or your anything with a V at the beginning of it, because we have to put V in front of everything. Okay, so there's a lot of buzzwords, and if you're walking around the trade show floor and you're thinking, there are so many of these buzzwords, which ones apply to me? Which ones do I need to care about? I think the TLDR on that is you do need to care about this, but you need to care about it from the perspective of how can it make you more effective. All these things are related to this idea that Pivotal is talking about with VMware and EMC about being cloud native, which is to say, yes, we do need to do things differently. We need to develop applications differently. We need to run them differently. And we need to make changes in the way we, bring IT solutions to market in order to do this. The changes that Pivotal has been talking about, we're talking about 3 layers supported by the cloud native or DevOps culture. And the layers that, I'm going to talk to you today about that middle layer, the runtime, the delicious cream filling in the middle of the, IT infrastructure automation and then framework for running your applications sandwich. But the infrastructure automation piece, API driven, provisioning your storage, your networks, your VMs, whatever, via an API, again, in public, private cloud, whatever. And your application framework, again, you want to bring your applications to and be able to run them. But if you wonder, what do you put between those to actually run those applications? The Pivotal Cloud Foundry, Elastic Container Runtime is one solution for that, codenamed Diego. And if you're wondering, wait a minute, containers, I hear about containers everywhere, there's whales, I don't know what. We actually are Docker compatible, moving towards complete compatibility with the OCI if you look at the Run C open sourcing. So there's a lot of convergence there in the container space. Pivotal Cloud Foundry, totally compatible with it. You can bring your Docker containers and run them. And when you look at what the Cloud Native Runtime Platform does in terms of enabling developers, basically they can bring their applications and just run them on the platform. So the platform provides, a contract of all of the self-healing, the shipping of logs, all of the things that developers don't necessarily want to spend the time doing, or operators would really like to have done in a consistent fashion so that the logs are, say, usable. And again, this only works if you actually empower everyone in your organization to use it. So saying those production logs, those are top secret and they can't be used anywhere in any way by the developers. Well, I mean, again, you have to make the organizational changes necessary to actually allow this, but the platform takes away, it remediates all of that friction in terms of making it possible to do it. Because again, you can build you could build your own of all of this stuff, right? There's wonderful Legos out there. You can go full stack Google hipster, hire some pink-haired ops chick to build it for you. This is totally possible. I have totally built this. However, perhaps you want to actually focus on bringing value for your business, focus on your business goals. And if you want to ship software, because everybody's a software company, right? Mark Andreessen told us years ago, software is eating the world. And if you want to bring value for your business, it's spending all the time building stuff that already exists in order to be able to build what you want to build, maybe not the best use of your time. And so again, if developers can bring their applications that they've built And again, this is a language agnostic, format agnostic platform. So developers can bring whatever it is that they want if they're writing it in Spring. Definitely side note, you should look at Spring Boot, Spring Cloud if you have developers who would like to write Java, but would like to get their Java to production use much faster, much easier. Again, you can bring Docker images and just have it all be HTTP addressable. It's pretty fast. Also keep in mind the kinds of speed ups that you need with testing and with logs and with self-healing, that kind of speed up that you want all of those things, but how much time do you want to spend building it? The Pivotal Cloud Foundry Elastic Container Runtime has all of that built in. So, and keep in mind, this is open source software. You can take a look at it on GitHub. And you can, if you're thinking to yourself, wait a minute, we don't bring open source software in-house. Yeah, it's also a completely supported and turnkey solution from Pivotal. So it's kind of best of both worlds because you can see exactly how the sausage is made and satisfying all of the gearheads who want to know. But then you also have people holding your hand through the entire process. Okay. And a little bit more detail on the application container service. So you're thinking, how does this scale? Because just like, the whole will it blend, does it scale is a super important question, right? And the way that this scales is that the underlying infrastructure automation spins up more containers as needed. So if your application load is such that you need more containers, you have more containers. Andrew Clay Schaefer likes to say the future of containers is virtual machines. And the reality is, yeah, of course, everybody wants to do everything containerized because shipping containers are a wonderful metaphor and useful, but we also need to actually be able to scale this. The platform also, keep in mind, can work with Linux, it can work with Windows. So the underlying infrastructure piece is not exactly the same with Windows, but the runtime and application framework is. So that's worth checking out. Okay, and then again, we're back to the buzzwords. We talked a little bit about how this was going to be a buzzword compliant session, right? Microservices, what are they? Do you want them? Well, yeah, you already know what they are. You already know that you want them. And then you realize that decomposing your, highly intertwined application is actually a lot of work. There's a lot that you need to do in order to separate out the monitoring, the way the logs work, the back-end data stores. I think a lot of people here are big fans of, actual persistent data. Because containerized stuff sounds fantastic until you're like, wait, we have this totally ephemeral, stateless infrastructure. Where does my data live? This stuff matters, right? So the Pivotal, Cloud Foundry runtime environment just ships all of the logs the way you want them. It has monitoring, it has self-healing built in, and when you look at great thinkers like Martin Fowler from ThoughtWorks, who talks about exactly what you need in order to do microservices. Yes, of course, you need to be able to provision by rapid provisioning means of infrastructure. You can't do microservices if you need to wait 2 weeks for a virtual machine, right? If anybody's ever been told that, no, you can't do that. And you need, because the stuff is not just one bespoke artisanal hand-whittled server that you can just kind of care and feed for and pet when it's, sad, you need to actually have monitoring across your entire infrastructure of both the services and whatever pieces of the infrastructure that you consider to be the most fragile or that you need to keep an eye on. But you need automation in that monitoring. You need to actually be able to get software out there quickly, and most importantly, you do need to have a culture where everyone in your organization, from the top down, buys into this. So if you're the one saying, let's make this work, you got to actually convince other people to go along with you. And you will find that it's super valuable, but you do need to convince them. Okay, and then you're saying, but wait a minute. You're saying that this platform is some sort of turnkey solution of magical Willy Wonka something. What about the things it can't do? All right, tell me the cold hard realities. Okay, so the platform is compatible with the ideas of the 12-factor, the 12-factor app. But what you need to make sure you actually do, and what the platform can actually help you do, is kind of what Andrew Kloschaffer likes to call, from Pivotal, likes to call 12-factor ops, which is to say, okay, just kind of like a TCP connection, you need that handshaking, right? You need, if you're going to say, for example, hey, it's very important that you log. Okay, that's great. The developer is logging. Where are the logs going? They have to go somewhere. So are you provisioning, some sort of data store, or some sort of, session store, or some sort of, Redis, whatever key value thing? Are you provisioning something that your logs are landing in? It's like, if you want to have that contract between operations and developers, the operations side has to hold up their end of the 12-factor contract. And a lot of the tools built into Cloud Foundry make that a lot easier. So if you think of it as in terms of promise theory, or if you think of it in terms of contracts, that's exactly how you get that stuff to connect, is saying, all right, all of the things that the developers are doing, how do we make sure we're capturing all of that value, and getting the value out of it out to production? Because, we all know that undeployed code is basically like inventory on the shelf, right? But you're not getting value out of it. So getting that code out to production is how you get value. Okay, so, and if you're thinking, okay, so now you've told me about this wonderful thing, but, is this just kind of an in theory, like you call your staging environment theory? It works in theory, but not in prod. Pivotal is actually using this platform to get software out to our clients. So if you look at Pivotal Labs, it's been around for I think more than 20 years. If you look at all of the big clients like Allstate, CenturyLink, companies like that we're working with, we're using this process to get software out to them. Again, just iterating for improvement. So if you recognize this, there's your Easter egg from, spoiler alert, it's from the Agile Manifesto. If you recognize this and you think, what's an operations person doing talking about the Agile Manifesto? The idea of being lean, of being agile, of moving fast is something that we need to do in the infrastructure world just as much as the development world does. And Pivotal has the tools, has the resources, has the people, and is ready to help you make that happen. So come over to booth 821, check us out, and we're really excited to be here with EMC. So thank you.
Oh, thank you.